So we'll look at Jamie. We'll kind of shift gears here as because you were kind of bringing up Jamie, because Jamie's kind of in the middle of really, I think, all of this. Whereas, like, Cersei's very on one side. Tyrion obviously is, well, he's on the other side of the world. And we'll kind of talk about them all, obviously, because they're all connected. But so Jamie, right, he's out and around doing stuff, right? So the way his kinds of ends is after settling matters at Raventree, Jamie and his men head back to Riverrun. They make camp at Pennytree, where the locals will still wary of travelers and King's men, and will not allow Jamie's men to enter the Holdfast, right? Because they're trying to take Riverrun. Jamie decides not to follow the advice of Kenos of Case, who recommends that he storm the Holdfast. While at Pennytree, Jamie receives an unexpected visit from Brienne of Tarth. She tells Jamie that she has found Sansa, who is a day's ride away. She claims, however, that Jamie must go with her alone, or else the Hound will kill the girl.
Yeah, it's
totally
real serious.
Yeah. So as we'll go the opposite direction. Opposite direction this time. And so, like, what are you thinking is going to be like Jamie's sort of arc in Winds of Winter?
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what Nikki thinks on this too, because I kind of wonder if it's going to go like he's on this redemption arc. Is he going to learn how to he's getting better with his left hand, right? Non-sword hand and his training and stuff. But it seems like they're going into I'm very confused about this. I don't know. I don't think that Brienne,
right. The audio book. Yeah. He says it 3 different ways, like
Brienne of Tarth is going. I don't know. What is she going to actually deliver him to Lady Stoneheart, or along the way, does she have another plan? Because I've wondered a lot about, like, is Thoros of Mir going to do something? Is he going to stop this? Is he going to try to, intervene in some way or the other? Because the Brotherhood Without Banners is kind of fractured a little bit. There's just a lot of killing going on over there. I don't see him going there and dying. I don't see him going and being, killed. Right. I kind of like, the show takes him even further north, and he seems to be this sort of hero who might contribute in some way, whether it be a commander or even just as a great swordsman, left-handed. I think that'd be really cool. And maybe he and Brienne get closer. That's possible. That I think there is a closeness there between them. He gave her the Oathkeeper. Is that right? The sword. Yeah.
Yes.
So I see him going further and further away from Cersei, which allows Cersei just to kind of keep like the bubbling madness and the chaos to continue, to the point where if he ever does return, it is interesting how the show did that, like that all this has gone on and then still in the end they're embracing or whatever. I don't know if that's going to go down, but I feel like he's going to have a shift in some way. I really have no idea what what George is going to do with those two, with the brother-sister relationship there. But I feel like he is going to go into more of these northern Riverland / Vale / northern affairs and be in it somehow, because he's been taken into it. Like Brienne has taken him there, not because he wants to. His job was just to come up here to Riverrun and, deal with the Blackfish. So, yeah, I honestly don't know where I take him, if I take him all the way north or not. I'm really interested just to see what happens with Lady Stoneheart, because I just don't think that Brienne's going to do that. Just hand him over, to her. Nikki, what do you think? I don't know.
I did a little video about this actually. So again, it's pure speculation, and I'm happy to be challenged on it. So
give it to me.
So it's interesting what you're saying about going back to Cersei, because the last thought Jamie has about Cersei in A Dance with Dragons is he realizes he's got to go back soon, and he just doesn't want to. It's kind of like, oh God, I really don't want to do that. And then I think Brienne shows up in the next couple of pages. And I don't think Brienne would be able to go through with it. I feel like there's going to be some conflict, because she's obviously sworn an oath to Cat to protect Sansa, etc. But that's what she's doing with Jamie now. And I feel like their bond has grown to a point where I feel like Brienne recognizes that there is a good, there is goodness in Jamie. And I wonder if Jamie is genuinely going to start asking, like, speculating, like, oh, right, okay, so we're gonna get Sansa. So what do we do with her now? How do we make sure that she's safe? And that gets Brienne thinking, like, oh, he genuinely does want to keep her safe, and I'm about to lead him into a trap where Lady Stoneheart's just going to kill him. I can't do this. So I wonder if Brienne's going to fess up, or if Jamie's going to figure it out. But I don't see her walking him in there and him either not knowing or her sort of keeping a straight face. I don't think she'll be able to do it.
Yeah. Can I just real quick interject? Because I just had a thought here. Like, and this is what we do, Nikki. Sometimes we roll down these rabbit holes here.
No, go for it.
So there is like, there's this whole bit where like Jamie, it's like one of the best lines, and I can't quote it right now, but it's like the idea that which of the oaths do you keep? You know, which of the, and then she has oath keeper. And so she has this oath to Catelyn, who is dead. This is Lady Stoneheart, a vengeful spirit of her, some sort of whatever. Not necessarily that she would be breaking, I think, the oath to Catelyn. It
like
would
that.
Yeah, totally different, right?
Yeah.
And I also think it goes more to her character development, her being more dynamic and saying, I get it now, Jamie. I see the choice that was put before you. This is not to fulfill this oath or whatever is not necessarily an honorable thing to do. And I think before she was caught by surprise. You know, Brienne was caught by surprise, and she's got Pod there. She's taking care of him. So she agrees to go along with this for a time. I think even if she does bring him all the way there, she could get a sense from other members that maybe this is not what they want, or maybe she just fights their way out of there. I don't know. There's going to be something that clicks and turns over. And I guess even from that moment too, I wanted to bring up the idea that a lot of you were talking about, what does Jamie think about? He thinks about returning to Cersei. And even prior to that, he's thinking about how he wants to do a better job defending Tommen and be a better commander of the Kingsguard and all that kind of stuff. He's really into that. That's really where he's at. So he could, if he, like you said, Nikki, decide, all right, we got to figure out the whole Sansa thing, go along with Brienne for a while. Or what would draw him back would be this idea of not really necessarily Cersei, but Tommen, where they're under attack. That's my job. That's my, then he's back into like, I got to fulfill that oath and protect it's almost like a redemption situation where he now can defend the king, because Robert didn't really need the defending. Joffrey did, but that was, right.
Yeah. You know, another thing, I like what you said as about Tommen, because the show sort of gives us a lot more of Tommen with like the High Sparrow kind of befriending him and sort of influencing that. None of that's in the books. So like, so the idea that Tommen could even go down that line could be totally different. Like, I mean, there's so many potential scenarios. If Cersei still blows up if Tommen doesn't kill himself like he does in the show, which I think Az and I are pretty big believers is not going to happen in the books. What if Tommen is like that figure that sort of realizes Cersei, if she does, say, blow up the Sept of Baelor and kills Marjorie, like if it goes down that route, Tommen could say, like, because he's a lot younger. No, I don't like you. You just did this. I mean, kids are, you take their toy away, they get upset. Now you're going to take his like wife away. I mean, he's going to freak out and lose his mind. I don't think he's not going to kill himself. So if Jamie goes back and Tommen is there to say things to him and influence whatever, that could definitely rip them apart. And then of course there's Marcella, who's still alive right now. That's gonna change his direction too. And not that I want to shift gears, because I want to stay on that, but real quick, the language used is kind of interesting in the last little bit of Jamie's lines here. So when Brienne walks up, he doesn't just see Brienne. He scrambles to his feet and he says, "Oh, let me. I'll put it up on the screen here." This one. He scrambles to his feet. "My lady, I had not thought to see you again. Gods be good. She looked 10 years older than when I saw her last. And what happened to her face? That bandage, you've been wounded, bite." And then she gives him Oathkeeper and he says, "I found it." But it's sort of like, starting to be like, I don't know, you know, he's looking at her. God, she looks 10 years older, and her face is like her. She's already like described in the books to be like way uglier than obviously she is on TV, because Gwendolyn Christie plays her, and she's, you know, Captain Phasma. She's freaking gorgeous. So like, is that gonna be like something too that is gonna like, maybe he doesn't find her, like, you know, there's that like hints of attraction throughout. Is he gonna not find her that way in the books too? So I mean, we could dive into that after, but I just wanted to bring it up just since I had it up here,
because really, one of the things I was going to ask Nikki is the idea. So there are theories that like that Cersei might go back to the Rock, might go back to Casterly Rock, or stay in King's Landing. That people believe different things, and it's like, what would move her there? What would take Jamie further north? You know, like those types of things that, because you can go almost any, like there's so many different directions that you can go, which is also why I think it takes forever to write a story like that. I think George knows where it's going to go, but like at the same point in time that he's got a hint at those things, and he's letting people kind of figure it out. The foreshadowings there, the breadcrumbs are all there, right? So for me, I like to think about what would take Cersei. It would maybe be like if Jamie does go back to King's Landing, it's him saying, no, we're under siege, or if there's a way to get her out or do whatever. He's got that tactical mind that would, if they're overrun and there is no way, family first, save people if he does that. But if he's also not there, she could be taken prisoner. You know, there's a ton of different things that could happen. What do you think? Any thoughts on where they might go? Like just Cersei or Jamie, or kind of sticking on those two?
Do you know, that's the problem. There are too many variables. It depends on what Griff or Aegon, whichever way we want to call him, depends on what his plan is. Because he's just landed at Storm's End with half an army. And I do wonder what, well, we know what Dawn are going to do. They've been sort of playing the long game. We know that Doran's just found out that Aegon's alive. I want to know what the Tyrells are going to do, because they're traditionally Targaryen loyalists. So that's, I think that's going to be the deciding factor. So I went down a rabbit hole on one of my videos, and it was to do with, if Tyrion was still alive, how would he handle that situation? So yeah, I'm interested to see what the Tyrells do, because they're meant to be loyal to the Lannisters, but we know their loyalty is quite easily bought. So yeah. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say on it, because we could speculate for hours.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely interesting. And there's a lot. I mean, there's a handful of characters like that. Because even using like the framework of the show, it's like, okay, like just for example, like, okay, Jon's probably going to get resurrected. Stannis and Ramsay are going to do their thing, but then you've got a handful that are not anywhere close to where they are in the show. You know, like Sansa. It's like, she can go in tons of different directions. Young Griff doesn't exist. Jamie, oddly, is actually where he's at in the show before we go off book. He goes to River Run, and then he goes back to King's Landing. But part of that is actually a kind of cool scene in the show, I thought. And I remember the trailer getting hyped for it, was when Jamie shows up at like the Sept of Baelor, and he's got like this Lannister army, like, I'm about to take over. I'm about to we're about to take over. And of course that is totally changed. So the faith also seems less powerful in the book than they did in the show. They definitely did a good job of making them sort of like a 1.5 season really villain. So with that, if Jamie is going to go ultimately to meet up with Lady Stoneheart, which I think is possible, and likely, because obviously, you know, Brienne lies and says that the Hound's gonna kill her. We don't know. You know, the Hound, I think, is the gravedigger. I do think the Hound is going to come in and actually be part of something to deal with the faith, but that's not going to be Jamie's arc. Then, yeah, I think your other scenarios are Jamie goes to Storm's End first, or maybe Storm's End is over by the time he's done with Lady Stoneheart, and then he has to go down and deal with the faith / see what's going on with Cersei. And his arc, I think, is going to entirely depend on whether Marcella is alive and whether Tommen is alive when he does show up to King's Landing, because I do still think we will get that sort of confrontation like we saw in the show, where he's like, okay, Cersei, I'm out, like I'm done with you. I don't know that we're gonna have a dragon pit and all this other stuff, and like all this other stuff that happens first. But I do think that he will go down there and Cersei will kick him out, assuming Cersei lives through through the next book, and like young Griff doesn't say like take over that, and we just move into more of a it's now Daenerys and young Griff, Jon Snow story.
Yeah, I think too. George said, I don't know where this was. Maybe it was an interview or something that he did, because we got to finally see in the show Casterly Rock. So we had a character. I think he might take us there, whether it's through, because isn't Jane Westerling heading back that way? I think at some point. Yeah, she's heading towards there. So maybe we'll see it through a different character. But there's some speculation that we might see one of our Lannister folk over there, because we never have really been there, and it's a place we've heard so much about that I think it'd be cool to explore in the book. And I just don't know which character he does it through, though.
Yeah, because in the show the only time we see Casterly Rock is when they pull a double fake, right? And they okay, we're gonna go take Casterly Rock. Well, we're not here, so deal with it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's happening at all.
Right.
Okay. Well, do you guys have any more? Anything else on Jamie you guys want to before we hit just go hardcore into Cersei?
Well, I don't. The only thing is, and I've not really done a whole lot of looking into it here recently, but like all that stuff that happens, you remember all of those like the weird visions and dreams that he has on the weirwood stuff, like that stuff's kind of crazy too. When you look at that to see maybe what he's dealing with internally and who he's, because I looked it up and I could be wrong, but the person wearing the Hound's helm right now isn't I think it's either Lemon Cloak. It was that Biter, right? Or Rogue?
No, I think it is Rourke. I think it is Lemon Cloak.
Okay, so I think he's like wearing it now. So like these are some of the folk that he's going to go back and see. There's been great speculation as to like who is Lemon Cloak. That like literally the theories. I can't even keep track. Matt, we did like this whole thing with like who is this the secret identity thing that we did, Matt, like a couple weeks back. So because I guess we think of these characters who I often think of the characters who were around during the time of Robert's Rebellion and could tell us more about the Tower of Joy, could give us insights or secrets about things that happened during the year 280, or 283 or whatever it was, when all that stuff was kind of going down in King's Landing. So I'm interested to see if he runs across a character like that. Like if Lemon Cloak is secretly somebody else and he is right now wearing the Hound's helm, and that's maybe where Brienne is taking Jamie, then we have
maybe she could even think it's the Hound.
Ooh.
Yeah, so because we don't know, right? I mean, that's that he does take that, and it's Thoros who says no. You probably shouldn't. So it just, to me, but people speculate that he was a former, like he has this Lemon Cloak that was once a White Cloak, right? That he was once a Kingsguard member, possibly. That's a theory. And then you have Jamie, a Kingsguard guy, going possibly to see someone like Lemon Cloak. I don't know if those all are going to pay off. And this is where you get into the crazy tinfoil stuff, Nikki, which is what we wade into. And it's just a sea of tinfoil. But I'm all for it. I'm like, okay, maybe there is something there, because this is a guy like who's been there, speckled in with the Brotherhood, and has seen a lot, witnessed a lot, and who knows, maybe he's more significant than we think. And just the fact that he has that the Hound's helm is interesting, and Brienne's taking him there. So I don't know, just thoughts, random stuff. We don't have to take it anywhere. It's just we sometimes throw out those bits for people to go read it again, go experience it, and say, yeah, is there something there, or could you go that route? Because it's kind of fun to